Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Talk About Sleep. Here's part 2 of this month's Q&A. So thank you again for everybody who interacted. And if you have any questions on this or any video that we do, leave them in the comment section down below. Once a month, like we are doing today, I will answer any and all questions. So as I always say, these videos are for education only, particularly for today. Got to show the book. Getting closer to 1,000 subscribers. Once we do, one person at random will get a signed copy of that. We got to be into it, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right, so here's part 2. Like I said, let's get right into this. On my omega-3 video, Brendan writes, "This is very interesting. Thanks, Doc. Looking forward to your second book." Thank you, Brendan. Second book is in production. Once I know the details, I will let you guys all know. And thank you for your support. On my Xyrem and Xywave video, Cheryl writes, "Xyrem was a miracle drug for me for insomnia and narcolepsy. Could function at work, lost weight, blood pressure went down, felt alive again. And then insurance stopped covering it, and it was like $6,000 a month. Wonder if things have changed." Yeah, Cheryl, that's very unfortunate. 2011, 2010 is when I started my sleep training, my sleep journey, and at that time, yeah, there were folks who were prescribing Xyrem for that reason. That has changed dramatically since then, and unfortunately has maintained. So while you're right, it could be used as a sleep aid, getting insurance to cover it is nearly impossible these days. However, next year in 2023, it is going generic, so that may be an answer to that issue. They may be a little bit less stringent, they being the insurance companies, which are criminal organizations. They may be less stringent as far as getting it approved for things like insomnia. So keep your eyes open, but can't make any promises yet. Good question, though. On my trazodone video, Ethan writes, "Is it safe to take with fluoxetine? I don't want serotonin syndrome." So what he's referring to there, fluoxetine is an SSRI. Trazodone is an SARI. Okay, so they both work on the serotonin system. Okay. Now, there can be situations where if you take two serotonin medications together, something called serotonin syndrome can occur. Okay, I've had videos on this. That's where people get very stiff muscles. It can actually cause muscle damage. They get fevers. They can get cognitive impairment. It's a very, very rare but very, very potentially dangerous condition. I do have some patients who are on an SSRI, and I prescribe them trazodone. Usually what I'll tell them, though, is, one, we should have a psychiatrist involved, right? But two is if there's any symptoms at all, okay, of stiff muscles or headaches or cognitive changes or anything like that, you got to let us know, okay? But it's not ideal, but it can be done. Okay, I don't know your particular, medical history or health history, but you got to be careful of it. But it can be done. Okay, and serotonin syndrome is real, but it is kind of rare. All right, thank you for asking that question. Laura on my Let's Talk About Sleepy video writes, "I'm always sleepy." Well, Laura, my sister, I think that's because your dog Stella wakes you up every morning very early and you don't get enough sleep. But that would be my suggestion. On my also on my Let's Talk About Being Sleepy, Cody writes, "I'm sure you probably can't answer anything as you're an MD, but I'm in such a bad medication situation for sleep. I feel completely trapped." Yeah, Cody, I'm sorry. Without knowing the specifics, I can't answer that question. But I would tell you this. Regardless of what medications you're on, it's important to focus on good sleep habits, relaxing your brain before bed, with meditation, trying to get some exercise in the morning, and making sure that other underlying sleep conditions are taken care of. Sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, so on and so forth. Okay? So whatever medications you're on, those things have to be taken care of. Okay? And there's videos on this channel for that, and I hope you find your help. Thirdly, on my Let's Talk About Being Sleepy video, Ryan writes, Have you read the paper where they used machine learning clustering algorithms to regroup hypersomnias? Yeah, actually, I think I wrote to you on under your comment. I wrote a comment saying that basically was the basis for that video. So it is very interesting. And like I said, I think eventually what's going to happen, Ryan, is there's not going to be idiopathic hypersomnia anymore. I think it's going to be like narcolepsy type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, and it's all going to be under that category. Because essentially, while narcolepsy is known to have sleepiness and other symptoms, just having sleepiness may be kind of an offshoot of that. Narcolepsy typically is because of orexin, which is a specific neurotransmitter in the brain, but idiopathic hypersomnia may be due to histamine or GABA or some other, GABA or glutamate. There may be different reasons why people are so sleepy, but I think it's all going to be under the umbrella of narcolepsy. But we'll see down the road. Good point though. Good question. On my multiple sleep latency test video, My Stage writes, it takes me 5 hours to fall asleep. Yeah, I don't know that a multiple sleep latency test would be helpful. That's more for people with narcolepsy. Sounds like you have insomnia, which, there's many videos on this channel about medications, improving your sleep habits. That's where to start. The other possibility, and maybe I'll make a video on this. The other possibility is that you may have delayed sleep phase syndrome, which is essentially your body's clock is set later. Okay, it's a circadian rhythm problem. So definitely look that up if you haven't heard of that prior. On my heart rate variability video, Clint writes, do a video on temazepam. You're in luck. That's coming up, Clint. Thank you for the recommendation. And then finally, Kansas writes on the heart rate variability video, is it okay for the heart rate to go under 40 while sleeping? It does happen when I'm very sleep deprived. I have narcolepsy. Being in the 40s seems normal, but I panicked when my watch told me it goes into the 30s. Yeah, the normal heart rate for somebody when they're sleeping is usually between 40 to 50, but there's individual variations. Going to 30, I have seen that before. That can be from somebody who is very well trained, like a marathon runner or a runner. Their heart can usually get down that low. It can be totally normal. I would say, though, if there is a concern about that, you may want to talk to your primary care doctor or maybe even see a cardiologist. Outside, though, of having any, known cardiac problems, it could just be a normal variant. But, yeah, if you're concerned, I would definitely have somebody do an EKG and do a more comprehensive look at that. But it could be normal, okay? What the watch says, I'm not a wearable technology hater. I talk a lot about that stuff on this video, but I always take with a grain of salt the information that comes from those devices. If you really are concerned, I would definitely start with your primary care doctor, and maybe even get a cardiac evaluation if it's a concern for you. Yeah, the narcolepsy part of it really shouldn't make a difference. The being very, very tired part of it, same thing. It could just be that this is happening, of its own accord. But good question, and I hope I have allayed some of your fears. And I think that's it, folks. I think that's the last question for this month. So thank you, everybody, for those who interacted. Please share this with your friends and family. Please ask questions, okay? Please talk amongst each other. I want this to be a community. So thank you to everybody, and keep an eye out for next month's Q&A. And until next time, sleep well.